Into my room he creeps without making a sound. Into my dreams he peeps with his hair all long and hanging down. He makes me quiver, how he makes me smile. With all this love I have to give him, I guess I'm gonna stay with him a while.
Welcome to the PSR YouTube channel. Hey, I love YouTube. YouTube's awesome. It's awesome. You should become a YouTube creator. Totally. This video will get monetized. Yes.
Whoa, yeah. We're having lots of family fun now. Whoa, yeah. None of these are real guns now. Whoa, yeah. Also got a Patreon, the link is in description. Got some merch too, yeah, you know you wanna get some.
Thank you for being patient. I think we've stroked the algorithm enough for today. The video starts in 3, 2, 1.
If you've ever thought about buying a 3D printer, but instead you bought a $100 high point with the money, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, guys. It's a glorious moment because today we are talking big calibers. Yes, we've got a 308 chunky boy here, but I already did a video on it. And if you want to watch that video, I suggest you go check out my video. This 308 throws fireballs, because it really does. And it's the Hoffman Tactical Lower Receiver. But we're not here to talk about this absurd pistol with a 3D printed lower. We are here to talk about something a little bit bigger, and that is the 6.5 Creedmoor 26-inch precision rifle. We are going to get long and we are going to get strong.
Almost forgot about our channel sponsor, and who is that? That is Aves Engineering. Aves Engineering makes all the slidey bits for all of your favorite DIY projects. Lots of glizzy stuff, new generations in beta. They also offer a ton of Mac parts. So never search it in Google, and I would never ever use the code PSR for an entire 10% off your whole order from Aves. So thank you again to Aves for sponsoring this channel.
All right, so a while ago I did a video on this heckin' chonker, and it's a 308 pistol, 12.5-inch barrel with all KAK parts, with the exception of the Hoffman Tactical Super Lower version 1.4. Now that was a while ago, and he's since updated his lowers. Now this is a Gen 1 DPMS LR308 pattern lower design, so it'll only fit with those uppers. If you're not familiar with Hoffman Tactical, you should be, because he is a young gun on the scene designing really cool stuff for primarily AR-15 and LR308 pattern rifles. I recently had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Hoffman Tactical himself at the Iraq Veteran 8888 Range Day, and oh boy, we had some fun with his AR. I just dumped a bunch of rounds through a special trigger he had on his totally printed upper and lower Dolphin / Orca Whale AR-15, and it was oh so glorious. So Tim, if you're watching, big respect. Keep doing what you're doing. It's very inspiring. So what are the differences between his old lower, the 1.4, which is this, and the new lower, which I will pull out in a sec? Well, there are a few subtle differences. There's some aesthetic differences in the trigger guard. There are some differences with this rib right here. And if you're not familiar with Hoffman tactical rifles and pistol lowers, they are using ribbed design. So this is a reinforcement rib here that helps to contain the forces here alongside. Yes, it's a hose clamp, and for any of you hating on the hose clamp, suck my balls. I love the hose clamp. It feels very American for some reason, because it's actually a very, very sturdy design. I've done numerous push-ups on these guns, and they can take the force, and I've chucked them, I've hucked them many a yard, and they withstand the forces. I'll bring out the rifle, which we'll be talking about today. So let's bring out the heckin' chonker. Yes. So here we go. This is the new pattern lower alongside this insane upper, and it is a bolt action upper. So I will talk about this upper extensively, but first I want to cover the differences in the lower. Tim, he kind of added this support shelf here on the lower, if you can see it. It's a little different on the new version. He added some aesthetic changes to the trigger guard and the lower trigger guard area. He's also made it, which is very, very key for this build, he's made it compatible with cassette style triggers. So you can use like a nice trigger, and that is very key for this build in particular. Also, Tim has changed the design of this front part a little bit to function better, which I noticed it was easier to install on this version. Aside from that, it's just small changes, but a lot of aesthetic changes to make it look better. The rib is not so huge, which is great. It's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. This lower was printed on an Ender 3 basic, and one of the best things about Hoffman Tactical's lowers are they actually come with supports built in if you want them. So I always use his supports that are built in, so you don't have to mess with putting supports on the model, and that is super helpful for me at least. The supports come off extremely easily, and that's one of the things, out of all the designers, not many do built-in supports, and I gotta give a shout out to Hoffman Tactical for putting those in there. Obviously you can print it without the supports that are his, but you can print it with his, and I've never had any issues. So that's another great benefit to Hoffman Tactical stuff. So for this lower, I did buy Hoffman Tactical's hardware kit, which helped me make the super lower, which is reinforced on the trigger pins with these bushings, and this front takedown area is reinforced, and he sends you the tabs as well as the hose clamp. Supporting a small business like Hoffman Tactical, he does all of the R&D himself, and he's designing these things, and he's a young entrepreneur. I really think he's doing great things, and you should support him. And if you're gonna print one of his lowers, buy some hardware. Now, let's talk about this upper. So this upper receiver is made by a really cool company. They are called Uintah Precision. They're known for their bolt action uppers for both AR-10 and AR-15 lowers. So these are true bolt action uppers, and it's not just like an AR with a handle. It is an actual bolt action upper, precision rifle barrel, and this is a 26-inch 6.5 Creedmoor. So Uintah Precision doesn't just make giant thick boys like this, the 26-inch ones, they also make as low as 13-inch 6.5 Creedmoor and 13-inch 308 uppers that are bolt action. So that's pretty fucking badass. A little while ago, I reached out to them, and they've been following me for a while, and I just said, hey, would you guys want to collaborate on a video? So they sent me this upper free of charge. So that is a little disclosure, and I didn't get paid for this review, but they did send it to me free of charge. So there's that. And I am so psyched that they sent it to me, because it is a really cool piece of kit. To just be able to throw an actual bolt action like this on your AR-10 standard lower is pretty incredible. Now, a little caveat, these only fit on Gen 1 DPMS lowers as far as I'm concerned. I did try it with my Arrow lower, and it does say on their website that they don't like the way it fits. There's a tiny little gap, but when I put it on mine, it worked absolutely fine, and the tiny gap is just a very, 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 very minuscule gap, but they have high standards considering this is a precision rifle upper, so it'll work on your Arrow M5 platforms. Now, they also make the bolt action uppers for AR-15s too, which is really cool. So you could just throw it on your AR-15 lower if you want as well. But like I said, I wanted to go very long with this one, and we did. This build, if we're going to price it out, I think they range from, I think anywhere between, I want to say like 13 or 1400 to like 17 to 2 grand for the upper. Now it's not cheap, but if you're talking about precision rifles, you're not talking cheap. All right, so like Mr. Mike Jones, we're gonna go tip to butt, and we're gonna start with this here muzzle device. This is quite a muzzle device. This is made by Novolite Arms, and you may have seen my video on the Graves trigger where I used one of their brakes. It was really incredible how it handled the recoil, but it was on a 10.5-inch gun, and what these brakes do, which is more or less, I think, almost the perfect design for a brake, is they send the gases not out from the side like a comp, they send them back here. Now, if you're going like full auto or something, and you're going really fast rate of fire on a short barrel with an AR-15, a lot of those gases are just gonna come out, hit you in the hand, and that's what happened with me before. But if you have it on a 16-inch longer rifle, you should be fine. And with the 6.5 Creedmoor, it works absolutely perfectly. So I went out and sighted this thing in, and I didn't have this brake on here, and it was after about 40 rounds, actually I think I put around 60 rounds downrange that day, and this was before I had spray painted it or anything. It really did a number on my shoulder, and I'm not afraid to say I got a little bruise from shooting 60 rounds of 6.5 Creedmoor through this bolt action. There's no buffer tube to absorb that recoil. It's just going right into your shoulder, and it's a pretty serious rifle cartridge. If you don't know about 6.5 Creedmoor, I'm not a genius when it comes to talking about ballistics or anything. I just know it fits in 308 magazines, and it's a little bit of a longer projectile. You can look at it, I'll show it on the screen. So it was quite painful shooting that first day. I tried to see if I could hit a clay target inside of a van that was around 300 yards away, and I couldn't hit the target, but I came pretty close. I came about 1.5 feet away from hitting the clay, but it was still fun. I was hitting the steel plates, no problem. So after I shot it, I posted some photos on my Instagram, and the guys at Novolite reached out to me and were like, oh, hey, dude, we make a 6.5 Creedmoor brake. And I was like, what? Oh my God. Yes. So their Raptor muzzle brake, similar to the one that's on the AR-15 that I shot, works in a similar way where it sends the gases out kind of backwards. I was like, oh yes, please send it to me. And I put it on here. And when I went to film the video after I rattle canned it, so if you want to know anything about my rattle can process, it's pretty much standard stuff. I use like a little laundry basket netting, and I just spray paint over it. I do have a stencil, camo stencil, so I did a little bit of that, but I wanted this to kind of match fall colors because we're heading into fall. It's a little bright, I guess. It's more like a desert kind of vibe, but wintertime, everything's dead, kind of fits that vibe. So if you have any questions or want me to post a video on how I camouflage my rifles and stuff, let me know. Be happy to do that. So this brake, when I shot it at the range, it completely changed the feeling of the gun. I no longer had a bruise, and it worked extremely effectively, and it did its job. The gases, they do come back, but on this particular gun, you're sitting so far behind it that they really don't come right back at you and hit you in the face or anything. It's coming out around you, kind of like around your shoulders. What it did do was it really lightened the recoil. So this thing absolutely works, and shouts out to Novolite Arms for making this thing. This thing really kicks ass. All right, moving further down the rifle, we have a Magpul bipod. This is just one of their basic bipods. I didn't have a whole lot of money to spend on something really nice, so we got this bipod. It folds out, and you can extend it. Nothing too special. It worked, it did its job, and I had no issues with it. It rotates and stuff. You can tighten and loosen. So moving further down the rifle, we have this handguard. It is a full-size handguard with a bunch of M-lock slots on here. Perfect for fitting the bipod. I don't know what else I would put on there. If I was gonna carry this, I would put a sling, QD attachment, but very solid feeling handguard. Had no issues with it at all. And moving down here, we have a Vortex Diamondback, and I believe it is a 6-24, or maybe it's a 4-26. I can't remember. Little dyslexia happening. This scope is a pretty basic budget scope. I think I got it for around 400 bucks. It is not anything special, but it did the job. I got it zeroed and it worked great. Moving back here, we have a Magpul PRS stock, I believe. It's the PRS Lite. It does have adjustability on it, and that's nice. Sling attachment here, and you can rise this cheek up or down. Now, as far as the printed lower, I have a special precision rifle grip here, and this is designed by FFF Technology, or Laughs Dynamics, I guess he's being called. Now, this cool thing about this new lower that Hoffman designed, it is ambidextrous. You can put an ambi safety in here, although I didn't find a need for it, so I didn't put one in there, but you can do it, whereas the earlier lower you could not. Now, what do we have in here for a trigger? So the folks at Uintah Precision were kind enough to send a Velocity 3.5 pound really nice match trigger, and I am very grateful because this trigger really kicks ass and really just finishes out this build, and it really helped get those shots on target when I was practicing and just sighting in the rifle. I could tell, man, it has a very crisp pull. Now I've got a 10 round mag in here. In order to show you, I'll just take it out, show you the pull here. There's just a tiny bit of take up and then break, and it's super crisp. So this is a Velocity trigger, like I said, and it is awesome. Using just standard Magpul PMag 10 rounders, you can put, if you wanted, you could put like a 20-25 rounder in here, but I felt like this, for doing the precision rifle stuff, it makes more sense to have something a little bit smaller, and that's why we have this long grip on here. And when you grip and you're shooting precision rifle, you don't want to grip it like a pistol grip. You want to put your thumb up here, and that really helps you get the trigger just right and helps you keep your shot steady. And now the bolt hold open still works actually on this rifle, so when you're out, you can tell you're out, which is kind of cool. I wasn't able to take this rifle longer than 300, so the range that I shoot at only goes out to 300, but it has a steel plate that I was just consistently ringing, no problem, at 300, and really it shouldn't be an issue with a 6.5 Creedmoor. It should be able to get out to, I think, around 600 or 700 without dropping too much. So I want to take this out to like 1,000, and I think I can get to a range where I can do that, in which case we will do a part 2 of this video. But for right now, it really did great, and I just really enjoyed shooting this. This is actually, believe it or not, my first bolt action rifle I've ever owned, and it's a 3D printed lower, and I got to do the camo paint job on it, and the fact that it's printed, I mean, you can't really tell that it's printed aside from the hose clamp. I was just bringing these rifles to the range day, and no one could tell that this little short pistol had a printed lower, so that's pretty cool. Really, that's all I gotta say on this build. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. If you haven't done that yet, give the like and subscribe button HK slaps respectively, very hard. And until next time, thank you for watching another episode of Print, Shoot, Repeat. I'm out. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.